Admiral Sarah Chen watched her screen as another human ship exploded into bright flames. The enemy laser cut through the destroyer's hull like a hot knife through butter. She closed her eyes for a moment, thinking about the 300 people who had just died. "Admiral, we lost the Phoenix," reported Lieutenant Torres from his station. His voice was steady, but Chen could see his hands shaking. They had all lost too many friends in the past 3 months. Chen opened her eyes and looked at the tactical display. Red dots covered the screen like a disease. Each dot was an enemy ship, and there were thousands of them. The blue dots representing human ships were few and getting fewer by the hour. "How many ships do we have left?" she asked. 17 destroyers, 8 cruisers, and 2 battleships, Torres answered. "The enemy still has over 4,000 ships. The numbers were impossible. When the aliens first arrived 3 months ago, they came with a message that seemed friendly. 12 different alien species had joined together in something they called the hegemony. They said they wanted to meet humanity and share knowledge, but everything changed when they saw how humans lived. The aliens were shocked that humans had so many different cultures, languages, and beliefs on one planet. They said this was dangerous and unnatural. In their minds, a planet should have only one way of thinking, one government, one culture. When humans refused to change their ways, the aliens decided humanity was too dangerous to exist. They said humans would spread chaos across the galaxy if they were allowed to develop space travel. The war began that same day. Now Earth's orbital defenses were broken. The space stations that once protected the planet were nothing but floating metal and bodies. The alien ships moved closer to Earth every day, and Chen knew they were planning something terrible. "Admiral," called out sensor operator Kim from across the bridge, "I'm getting a strange reading from the outer system." Chen walked over to Kim's station. The young woman pointed at her screen, where a large energy signature was appearing near Pluto's orbit. "That's not one of ours," Chen said, "and it doesn't match any alien ship we've seen. No, ma'am. The energy output is massive, bigger than anything in our database." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. If this was a new enemy ship, humanity was finished. They could barely fight the aliens they already knew about. "How big is it?" she asked. Kim checked her readings twice before answering. "It's enormous, Admiral. At least 10 times larger than their biggest battleship, and it's moving toward us fast." The bridge became quiet except for the soft beeping of computers and the distant sound of explosions from the battle outside. Chen watched the unknown signature move across the display. Whatever it was, it would reach the inner solar system in less than 6 hours. "Send a message to all human ships," Chen ordered. "Tell them we have an unknown contact approaching. Everyone should be ready for anything." "Yes, ma'am," Torres said, his fingers dancing across his control panel. Chen returned to her command chair and activated the communication system. She needed to warn Earth's leaders about this new development. The screen flickered to life, showing the tired face of President Martinez. "Admiral Chen," the president said, "how bad is it up there?" "We're holding the line, Mr. President, but barely. I have some news that might be important. We've detected a large unknown ship approaching from the outer system." President Martinez rubbed his forehead. "Unknown? You mean it's not human or alien?" "That's correct, sir. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen, and we don't know who built it or what they want." "Could it be more aliens coming to help destroy us?" Chen considered this possibility. "I don't think so, Mr. President. The energy signature is completely different from hegemony ships. This is something else entirely. Keep me informed, Admiral. We'll start evacuation procedures for the major cities, just in case." The communication ended, leaving Chen alone with her thoughts. She looked out the bridge windows at the battle raging around them. Human ships darted between massive alien vessels like small fish swimming around sharks. Sometimes the humans managed to damage an enemy ship, but mostly they just tried to survive. The aliens had better weapons, stronger shields, and more ships. Their plasma cannons could destroy a human vessel with one shot, while human missiles barely scratched alien armor. The only reason any humans were still alive was because they fought smart instead of strong. Captain Williams, who commanded the human fighters, had developed new tactics that used Earth's gravity well and asteroid belt to confuse the enemy. His pilots would hide behind space rocks and attack from unexpected angles. They couldn't win battles this way, but they could stay alive longer. "Admiral," Kim called out again, "the unknown ship just changed course. It's heading directly for the main battle group." Chen moved back to the sensor station. The mysterious signature was indeed moving toward the largest concentration of alien ships. She felt her heart beating faster. "Try to contact it," she ordered. "Use all frequencies. Maybe they'll answer." Torres worked at his communications panel for several minutes. "No response, Admiral. Either they can't hear us or they're choosing not to answer." As the hours passed, the unknown ship drew closer. The aliens seemed to notice it too because some of their ships started moving away from Earth to investigate. Chen watched this development with interest. Anything that distracted the enemy was good for humanity. "Admiral," Kim said, her voice filled with excitement, "I'm getting visual contact with the unknown ship." The main screen changed to show a view from their most powerful telescope. What Chen saw made her catch her breath. The ship was indeed massive, but its design was unlike anything she had ever seen. It didn't look built so much as grown. The hull seemed to pulse with soft light, and its shape changed slightly as they watched. "That's not metal," observed Torres. "It looks almost alive," Chen nodded. The ship moved through space with fluid grace like a whale swimming through deep ocean. There were no visible weapons or engines, yet it traveled faster than anything humans had ever built. "The alien fleet is changing formation," reported the tactical officer. "They're moving ships to intercept the unknown vessel." Chen watched as dozens of alien warships moved to block the stranger's path. If this unknown ship was another enemy, the battle would be over quickly. If it was something else, maybe humanity still had a chance. "All ships, pull back to defensive positions," Chen ordered. "Let's see what happens when they meet." The next few minutes would determine whether humanity had any hope left, or if they were about to face an enemy even more powerful than the aliens who wanted to destroy them. Chen gripped her command chair and waited for the unknown ship to reveal its intentions. The mysterious vessel continued its approach, silent and strange, carrying with it the possibility of salvation or final doom for the human race. The unknown ship reached the alien fleet like a ghost moving through a wall. Chen watched in amazement as the massive vessel simply passed through the enemy formation without stopping. Alien plasma beams shot toward it, but the weapons went right through the ship as if it wasn't there. "Did you see that?" Torres whispered. "Their weapons aren't working." The alien ships fired again and again, but nothing could touch the mysterious vessel. Chen could see the panic in the enemy formation as ships scattered in all directions. Some of the smaller alien vessels actually fled toward the outer system. The aliens are afraid, Chen realized. This is the first time we've seen them show fear. The strange ship continued moving toward Earth, passing through asteroid fields and debris clouds without slowing down. It seemed to be studying the battle, watching how humans and aliens fought each other. "Admiral," Kim said, "the ship is sending out some kind of scanning beam. It's not harmful, but it's reading everything. Our ships, their ships, even the space stations." Chen felt nervous. If this unknown race was as advanced as they appeared, they could probably destroy both humans and aliens without effort. She needed to try communicating again. "Send another message," she ordered. "Tell them we're the defenders of this system and we need to know their intentions." Torres worked at his controls, broadcasting on every frequency humans knew about. Minutes passed with no response. The unknown ship continued its silent observation of the battle. Then something impossible happened. Chen felt a strange sensation in her head, like someone was gently touching her thoughts. She had a neural implant that helped her process battlefield information, but it was supposed to be completely secure from outside interference. A voice spoke directly into her mind. It was ancient and tired, but also somehow warm and caring. "Admiral Sarah Chen," the voice said, "do not be afraid. We mean no harm to you or your people." Chen nearly fell out of her chair. "Who are you?" She thought back, hoping the voice could hear her. "We are what you might call the Forerunners. We have watched this galaxy for millions of years, observing the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Most of them disappoint us. Some surprise us. You have done something we thought impossible." "What do you mean?" Chen asked, still shocked that someone was talking directly to her brain. "You have impressed us," the voice replied. "In all our time watching, you are the first species to develop faster-than-light travel without first conquering other intelligent beings. You built nuclear weapons but did not destroy your world. You achieved global communication while keeping thousands of different cultures alive." Chen looked around the bridge. Her crew was staring at her with concern, probably wondering why she was acting strange. She held up a hand to let them know she was okay. "Your enemies believe diversity is dangerous," the Forerunner continued. "They think all intelligent life should think the same way, believe the same things, follow the same rules. This is why they want to destroy you. Can you help us?" Chen thought desperately. They're going to kill everyone on Earth. That is a more complicated question than you might think, the voice answered. Help can take many forms. Outside the windows, the battle continued. Human ships were still dying, but fewer alien vessels were participating in the attack. Many had moved away to study the Forerunner ship, trying to understand what it was. We have been watching your species for a long time, the Forerunner explained. When you first looked up at the stars, we were there. When you took your first steps on your moon, we observed. When you built your first space stations, we were curious about what you would do next. Chen thought about all the times humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. It was strange to learn that someone had been watching them all along. Why didn't you contact us before? She asked. Because contact changes everything, the voice replied sadly. We learned this lesson long ago. When an advanced species helps a younger one, the younger species stops growing. They become dependent on their protectors instead of learning to protect themselves. The Forerunner ship had moved closer to Earth now, and Chen could see it more clearly on the main screen. The vessel was beautiful in a way that human ships could never be. It seemed to be made of living crystal and flowing metal, pulsing with soft colors that shifted and changed. We have made this mistake before, the Forerunner continued. We saved species from destruction, gave them advanced technology, solved their problems for them. Every time the result was the same. They became weak and lazy, depending on us for everything. Eventually they forgot how to think for themselves. Chen began to understand what the Forerunner was saying. You don't want to save us because it would hurt us in the long run. Exactly. But watching you fight has shown us something interesting. Your species learns and adapts very quickly. You take impossible situations and find creative solutions. This is rare among intelligent life. On the tactical display, Chen could see that more alien ships were leaving the battle to investigate the Forerunner vessel. This was giving the remaining human ships a better chance to survive, but it wasn't enough to win the war. So what happens now? Chen asked. Do you just watch while they destroy us? We have decided to offer you something we have given to only 3 other species in galactic history, the Forerunner said. We will share knowledge with you. Not technology that does the work for you, but understanding that allows you to build your own solutions. Chen felt her heart racing. Advanced knowledge from an ancient race could change everything for humanity. But, the Forerunner continued, this knowledge comes with conditions. You must prove you can use it wisely and quickly. You will have exactly 72 hours to show us that humans can take what we teach and make it your own. And if we fail, then we will leave and you will face your enemies alone. We will not interfere again, no matter what happens to your species. The weight of this decision pressed down on Chen like a mountain. Humanity's entire future depended on their ability to learn and adapt in just 3 days. Why are you giving us this chance? She asked. Because in all our millions of years of watching, you are the first species that might be worthy of joining us as guardians of the galaxy. But worthiness must be earned, not given. Chen thought about her crew, about Earth, about all the humans still fighting and dying in space around her. They had always been good at learning under pressure. We accept, she said without hesitation. Then prepare your people, the Forerunner replied. The knowledge transfer will begin immediately. Use it well, young ones. The galaxy is watching. The Forerunner ship began to change before Chen's eyes. The strange vessel's surface rippled like water, and the soft lights grew brighter. Then, without warning, something like invisible lightning jumped from the alien ship to every human vessel and space station in the solar system. Admiral, Torres shouted. Every computer system is receiving massive data downloads. The information is coming too fast for our normal systems to handle. Chen felt the neural interface in her head warming up as information flooded into it. Mathematical equations, scientific principles, and engineering concepts poured into her mind faster than she could understand them. It was like trying to drink from a fire hose. All ships prepare for data overload, she managed to say. Make sure backup systems are ready in case the main computers crash. On Earth, Dr. Elena Vasquez was working late in her laboratory when every screen in the building lit up with strange symbols and equations. She was one of the world's leading physicists, but the information flooding her computers was far beyond anything she had ever seen. What is this? She whispered, staring at formulas that seemed to describe how space and time worked at the deepest level. The mathematics was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Her assistant, Dr. Park, ran into the lab with his tablet in his hands. Elena, this is happening everywhere. Every university, every research center, every computer connected to the global network is receiving the same data. Elena saved as much of the information as she could before her computers began overheating. Get everyone on the phone, she ordered. Every scientist, every engineer, every programmer we can find. If this is real, we need to understand it quickly. Back in space, the alien fleet was not sitting idle. When they saw the energy transfer between the Forerunner ship and human vessels, they realized something important was happening. The alien commander, a creature called Supreme General Thex, ordered an immediate attack on all human positions. Destroy them now, Thex commanded through his ship's communication system. Whatever the unknown vessel is giving them, we cannot allow them to use it. Hundreds of alien ships broke away from studying the Forerunner vessel and rushed toward Earth. Their plasma cannons charged up, ready to turn every human ship into burning gas. But something strange happened when they fired. The Forerunner ship, which had been peacefully floating in space, suddenly moved between the aliens and their targets. The plasma beam struck the mysterious vessel and simply disappeared, absorbed into its hull without causing any damage. The Forerunner's voice echoed across all communication channels, speaking to both humans and aliens at the same time. The test has begun, it announced. Humanity has 72 hours to prove their worth. During this time, we will protect them from direct attack, but we will not fight their battles for them. Any species that attempts to interfere with this test will face our displeasure. General Thex felt a chill of fear. The Forerunner ship was clearly more powerful than anything in his fleet, and its threat was not empty. But he also knew that if humans gained advanced technology, they could become unstoppable. Pull back to minimum safe distance, he ordered reluctantly. Monitor their activities, but do not attack unless they move against us first. Dr. Vasquez worked through the night with teams of scientists around the world. The Forerunner data was incredible, showing how consciousness could interact with quantum fields to manipulate matter and energy. It was like having the instruction manual for reality itself. Look at this, Dr. Park said, pointing to a section of equations on his screen. These formulas show how thought patterns can influence subatomic particles. If this is true, we could build weapons that respond to human mental commands. It's not just weapons, Elena replied, studying another set of data. This shows how to create shields that exist in multiple dimensions, engines that fold space instead of traveling through it, even communication systems that work faster than light. But understanding the theory was only the first step. Building actual devices would require manufacturing techniques that didn't exist yet. They would need new materials, new tools, and completely new ways of thinking about engineering. Meanwhile, in the orbital shipyards around Earth, engineers were trying to figure out how to apply the Forerunner knowledge to their existing ships. Commander Jake Morrison, one of Earth's best pilots, volunteered to test the first experimental modifications. "Are you sure about this?" asked Chief Engineer Williams as she made final adjustments to Morrison's fighter. "We're basically rewiring your ship's computer to interface directly with your brain. If something goes wrong, you could be killed or permanently damaged." Morrison strapped himself into the cockpit. "If we don't try this, we're all dead anyway. At least this way we have a chance." The modified ship felt different from the moment Morrison activated it. Instead of using manual controls, the vessel responded to his thoughts and intentions. When he wanted to turn left, the ship turned. When he imagined going faster, the engines increased power. "This is incredible," he reported over the radio. "The ship feels like part of my body. I can sense things around me that the sensors never showed before." But the real test came when a small group of alien ships approached, apparently testing whether the Forerunners would really protect the humans. Morrison's fighter moved to intercept them, and what happened next amazed everyone watching. The modified ship seemed to phase in and out of normal space, dodging alien weapons that should have been impossible to avoid. Morrison found that he could predict where the enemy would fire before they actually shot, giving him time to move out of the way. "The quantum equations are working," Dr. Vasquez reported to Admiral Chen. "Commander Morrison's ship is existing in multiple probability states at once. He's not just dodging the aliens, he's avoiding the possibility of being hit." Chen watched the test battle with growing excitement. If one modified ship could do this much, what could a whole fleet accomplish? But time was running out. The Forerunners had given humanity 72 hours, and almost 12 hours had already passed. They needed to modify dozens of ships and train pilots to use the new systems before the protection ended. All available personnel report to the shipyards, Chen ordered. We're going to work around the clock until every ship we have is upgraded. On Earth, children in schools around the world were studying the Forerunner mathematics as part of emergency education programs. Surprisingly, many of them understood the concepts better than adult scientists. Their minds were more flexible, less limited by old ideas about what was possible. 8-year-old Lisa Chang raised her hand in her classroom in Beijing. Teacher, why are the grown-ups making this so complicated? The space-bending equation is just like folding a piece of paper to make two distant points touch each other. Her teacher, Mrs. Liu, stared at the child in amazement. Lisa had just explained in simple terms what teams of PhD physicists had been struggling with for hours. Similar breakthroughs were happening in classrooms around the world. Children were seeing patterns and solutions that escaped their elders, and their insights were being rushed to research teams and engineering groups. The alien fleet watched nervously as human ships began to change. The vessels that had been easy targets just hours before were now moving in ways that seemed to violate the laws of physics. Some alien commanders wanted to attack immediately, but General Thex held them back. We wait, he decided. When the protection ends, we will see what these humans have truly learned. Then we will crush them with overwhelming force. 60 hours remained in the test. With only 24 hours left in the test, human ships began appearing in the battle zone that looked nothing like the vessels that had been fighting just days before. The hulls gleamed with new materials that seemed to bend light around them, and strange energy patterns flowed across their surfaces like living veins. Commander Morrison led the first squadron of upgraded fighters into combat. His ship had been completely rebuilt using Forerunner principles, and it responded to his thoughts as naturally as his own body. Behind him flew 11 other pilots who had successfully bonded with the new technology. Remember, Morrison said over the radio, don't think like you're flying a machine. Think like you are the machine. Feel where the enemy will be, not where they are now. The alien ships that had been waiting at the edge of the battle zone moved forward to test these new human vessels. General Thex wanted to see what the humans had learned before the Forerunner protection ended. Attack Pattern 7, the alien commander ordered. Surround them and fire from all directions. No ship can dodge energy beams coming from everywhere at once. But as the alien ships opened fire, something impossible happened. Morrison's fighter seemed to split into multiple copies of itself, each one moving in a different direction. The alien beams passed through empty space where the ship had been just moments before. How are they doing that? Demanded Thex, watching his tactical display in confusion. Sir, reported his science officer, our sensors show the human ships existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously. They're not just moving fast, they're moving through probability space itself. On Earth, Dr. Vasquez was coordinating the upgrade of larger ships while monitoring the battle through quantum communication links. The children who had helped solve the mathematical problems were now working alongside adult engineers, their young minds easily grasping concepts that had taken scientists years to understand. The fighters are working perfectly, she reported to Admiral Chen, but we need to test the modifications on bigger ships. The cruisers and battleships will be much harder to convert. Chen nodded as she watched Morrison's squadron dance through the alien formation like ghosts. How long until the first battleship is ready? The Defiance will be finished in 6 hours, Engineer Williams answered. But Admiral, we've never tested consciousness integration on something that large. The mental strain on the crew could be enormous. We'll have to risk it, Chen decided. When the Forerunner protection ends, we'll need every advantage we can get. The alien fleet was growing more nervous by the hour. Reports came in of human ships appearing in impossible places, weapons that could fire around corners, and shields that seemed to absorb energy attacks and grow stronger from them. Sir, an alien scout reported to General Thex, the humans have also modified their space stations. The orbital defense platforms are now generating fields that twist space around Earth. Our long-range weapons can't lock onto the planet's surface. Thex felt his confidence wavering. When the war began, destroying humanity had seemed like a simple task. Now he was watching them transform into something that might be more dangerous than any species the hegemony had ever faced. How much time remains in their test period? He asked. 18 hours, sir. Prepare the full fleet for immediate attack the moment their protection ends. We cannot allow them to grow stronger. On the modified battleship Defiance, Captain Sarah Torres was the first human to attempt consciousness bonding with a capital ship. The process was more intense than anything the fighter pilots had experienced, because she had to mentally connect with not just her own ship, but coordinate with the minds of her entire crew. Beginning integration sequence, she announced as the neural interface activated. The sensation was overwhelming at first, like suddenly having 500 bodies instead of one. She could feel every system on the ship, sense the thoughts and emotions of every crew member, and perceive space around them in ways that had no words to describe. "Captain, are you all right?" asked her first officer, Lieutenant Commander Park. Torres opened her eyes and they were glowing with soft blue light. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that seemed to come from the ship itself. "I'm more than all right," she said. "I can see everything. The quantum foam beneath normal space. The probability streams that determine future events, the connection between consciousness and reality. We're not just flying a ship anymore. We are the ship." The first test came when an alien patrol moved close to Earth's orbit. The Defiance moved to intercept them, but instead of flying toward the enemy, it simply appeared next to them. The massive battleship had somehow stepped outside normal space and re-emerged at a different location. "Impossible," whispered the alien patrol leader before the Defiance's new weapons tore his ships apart. The human weapons didn't fire energy beams or missiles. Instead, they reached directly into the alien ships and rearranged their atomic structure, turning their hulls into harmless gas. Dr. Vasquez watched the test results with growing excitement and fear. The power humans were gaining was incredible, but it was also dangerous. She thought about the Forerunner's warning that knowledge without wisdom could be destructive. "Elena," Dr. Park said urgently, "look at these readings from the consciousness integration experiments. The pilots and ship crews are changing at a genetic level. Their brains are developing new neural pathways that shouldn't be possible." Elena studied the medical data with concern. "They're evolving in real time. The quantum consciousness interface is rewriting their DNA to make them more compatible with the technology." This was both wonderful and terrifying. Humans were becoming something new, something that might be more than human, but they were doing it in the middle of a war, with no time to understand what they were becoming. Across the solar system, more modified ships were joining the battle. Each one was unique, reflecting the personality and creativity of its human crew. Some ships could phase through solid matter. Others could duplicate themselves, and a few had learned to manipulate time itself on a small scale. The alien fleet was in chaos. Their weapons couldn't hit targets that existed in multiple dimensions. Their shields were useless against weapons that ignored physical laws, and their formations were scattered by human ships that attacked from impossible angles. "We must attack now," urged General Thex's second-in-command, "before they become too powerful to stop." But Thex was beginning to understand something important. "No," he said slowly. "We cannot win this fight. These humans are not just using advanced technology. They're becoming something new, something we've never seen before." With 12 hours left in the test period, Admiral Chen received a communication from the Forerunner ship. The ancient voice spoke directly to her mind again, but this time it carried notes of surprise and concern. "Your species is adapting faster than we anticipated," the Forerunner said. "You are changing not just your tools but yourselves. This is both impressive and dangerous." "Is that bad?" Chen asked. "It is unprecedented," the voice replied. "In all our millions of years of observation, no species has ever integrated our knowledge so completely or so quickly. You are becoming something that might rival even us in power." Chen felt a chill of fear. "Are you going to stop us?" "We are considering it," the Forerunner admitted. "Power without wisdom has destroyed entire galaxies. But we are also curious to see what you will choose to do with these abilities." The final test was approaching, and humanity's fate hung in the balance. The 72-hour deadline arrived with Earth's sky full of fire and light. The Forerunner protection had ended exactly on schedule, and General Thex launched his final assault with every ship he had left. Over 2,000 alien vessels rushed toward Earth's atmosphere, determined to destroy humanity before they could become more powerful. "All ships, defend the planet," Admiral Chen ordered from her command station. The human fleet was smaller than it had been 3 days ago, but every remaining vessel had been transformed by Forerunner knowledge and human creativity. Commander Morrison's fighter squadron met the first wave of attackers above Earth's North Pole. His ship moved through the enemy formation like a ghost, appearing and disappearing as it struck targets from impossible angles. But this time, something was different. Morrison could sense the fear and desperation in the alien pilots' minds. They're not evil, he realized, speaking over the radio to his squadron. They're just scared of us. They think we're going to become like them, conquering and destroying other species. Maybe we should prove them wrong, suggested Lieutenant Kelly, who was flying beside him in her own modified fighter. On the surface of Earth, Dr. Vasquez was coordinating the planet's defense from her laboratory when she noticed something troubling. The power levels in the modified ships were growing beyond safe limits. The human crews were pushing their consciousness integration too far, risking permanent damage to their minds. "Elena," Dr. Park called out urgently, "the quantum resonance patterns are becoming unstable. If the pilots don't pull back, they could lose themselves completely in the ship mines." Elena opened a communication channel to Admiral Chen. "Admiral, we have a serious problem. Our people are merging too completely with their ships. They're losing their human identity." Chen felt the same thing happening to herself. The neural interface in her head was growing stronger, connecting her more deeply to the battle computers and tactical systems around her. She could feel her individual consciousness beginning to dissolve into something larger and more powerful. "All ships," she ordered, fighting to maintain her human perspective. "Reduce consciousness integration to safe levels. Remember who you are. Remember what we're fighting for." But it was almost too late. Captain Torres on the battleship Defiance had merged so completely with her vessel that she could barely remember being human. The ship's weapons were charging up to levels that could crack a planet in half. The alien flagship, a massive dreadnought carrying General Thex and the hegemony leadership, broke through the outer defenses and aimed directly for Earth's largest city. Thex had decided that if he couldn't win the war, he would at least ensure that humanity paid a terrible price for their victory. "Target the population centers," he ordered. "If we cannot stop them from becoming dangerous, we will at least reduce their numbers." The dreadnought's main weapon began charging up. It was powerful enough to kill 50 million people with a single shot. But as it prepared to fire, Captain Torres and the Defiance moved to intercept. "Captain, don't do it," Chen warned over the radio. "If you use full power, you could destroy yourself along with the enemy ship." Torres's voice came back changed and strange, carrying harmonics from the ship's quantum processors. "Admiral, I can see all possible futures from this moment. In most of them, humanity becomes exactly what the aliens feared. We spread across the galaxy, conquering and destroying just like they did. Then we'll choose a different future," Chen replied. "We don't have to become like them. There is one path where we become something better," Torres continued. "But it requires a sacrifice." Before anyone could stop her, Torres engaged the ship's most dangerous capability. She spread her consciousness across multiple quantum states simultaneously, allowing the Defiance to exist in 17 different probability streams at once. The alien dreadnought fired its planet-killing weapon, but the Defiance struck back across all 17 timelines. The enemy ship didn't just explode, it ceased to have ever existed, its destruction rippling backward through time to undo the damage it had been planning to cause. But the effort was too much for Torres and her crew. They had pushed consciousness integration beyond all safe limits, and they began to fade from normal space-time. "Torres, report," Chen called out desperately. "We're becoming something new, Admiral." Torres's voice came back faintly. "Something that exists between dimensions. We can see the connections between all living things now. The quantum web that links every consciousness in the galaxy." As the Defiance disappeared into higher dimensional space, its final act was to send a pulse of energy through the quantum web. Every intelligent being in the solar system, HFY, human and alien alike, HFY, suddenly felt a moment of perfect understanding. For just an instant, humans could feel what it was like to be afraid of a species that might destroy them, and aliens could understand what it felt like to fight desperately for survival against impossible odds. The battle stopped, as if someone had thrown a switch. Alien ships drifted to a halt, their crews overwhelmed by the sudden realization that the humans they had been trying to exterminate were not so different from themselves. "General," Thex found himself staring at his tactical display, with tears in his strange alien eyes. "What have we done?" he whispered. They were never going to be like us. They fight to protect, not to conquer. The Forerunner ship, which had been watching silently from the edge of the system, suddenly blazed with new light. The ancient voice spoke to every mind in the solar system at once. Remarkable, it said, and for the first time the voice carried tones of wonder instead of tired patience. In 72 hours you have not only mastered knowledge that took us millennia to develop, you have used it to bridge the gap between species that have been enemies for decades. Admiral Chen felt the neural interface in her head stabilizing at a new level. She was still human, but enhanced in ways that would take years to fully understand. Around her she could sense the minds of her crew and even the aliens who had been attacking them just minutes before. Captain Torres showed you the most important lesson, the Forerunner continued. Power without connection to others becomes tyranny. But power used to bring understanding between different forms of life becomes wisdom. Over the following hours, the alien fleet began to power down their weapons. General Thex opened a communication channel to Admiral Chen, his voice humble and uncertain. Admiral, he said, my species has made a terrible mistake. We judged your people based on fear instead of observation. We would like to discuss terms for ending this conflict. Chen looked around her bridge at the crew members who had all been changed by their contact with Forerunner knowledge. They were still human, but they were also something new, ego, beings capable of understanding the thoughts and feelings of other species. General Thex, she replied. We're willing to talk, but first we need to establish some new rules for how species interact in this galaxy. The Forerunner ship began to fade from normal space, but the ancient voice spoke one last time. You have passed the test, young ones, not just by mastering our knowledge, but by choosing to use it wisely. The galaxy has new guardians now, Adlo, beings who remember what it means to be small and afraid, and who will use their power to protect rather than dominate. As the mysterious vessel disappeared, Admiral Chen realized that the war was ending not with conquest or surrender, but with understanding. Humanity had gained incredible power, but more importantly, they had learned to use it responsibly. Dr. Vasquez, monitoring from Earth's surface, smiled as she watched former enemies begin to communicate. The knowledge transfer had changed humanity forever, but it had also created the possibility for a galaxy where different species could coexist peacefully. Elena, Dr. Park said, looking at readings from around the solar system, the quantum consciousness field is stabilizing. Humans and aliens are maintaining mental links even after the crisis has ended. Elena nodded, watching as representatives from 12 different species began planning the first interspecies council in galactic history. Humanity had joined the galaxy not as conquerors, but as bridges between different forms of life. The unknown vessel that had decloaked and joined the war for Earth was gone, but it had left behind something more valuable than weapons or technology. It had given humanity the wisdom to become guardians of peace in a galaxy that had known too much war. And in the quantum dimensions where Captain Torres and her crew now existed, they continued to watch and protect, ensuring that the bridges of understanding they had helped create would never be broken again.